Hi you guys. Well, today's vlog is going to be about something that has been very hard to do, but it's something that happens in adoption sometimes, so I feel like it's important to share. So I've debated on whether or not I wanted to vlog about this because some people might think I'm crazy for doing this, but it's part of the reality of adoption. So I'll just start from the beginning. A couple months ago, Brett and I were approached by a friend of mine that had a friend that was wanting to place her baby for adoption. And this friend of hers had blonde hair and blue eyes. She looked like us, and she was pregnant with a baby girl. And she asked if we were interested in adopting more kids. And my first thought was, yes, yes. Like, I was so excited. I mean, this just doesn't happen to just have a baby out of nowhere just appear. And so I told her that Brett was at work and that we'd have to talk about it and, think about it, because we hadn't really planned on adopting right then. And so Brett came home from work that night, and I told him, and we thought about it. We thought, oh, let's pray about it, see how we feel, and then we'll let her know. And so for us, adoption is something that you take very seriously. It's not just receiving a baby, but there's so many other things involved. There's what would the relationship with the birth family be like? I mean, there's so many factors. And so I remember when we were adopting Sawyer, I was a nervous wreck the whole time Lauren was pregnant. I was thinking, oh, is she going to do this? Is she not going to do this? And I really grew this relationship with her, and I just remember feeling like, even if she decided to parent, that's okay, because I love her so much, and I wouldn't want a baby that was given to me out of pity. I would want her to be at peace with her decision and not have regrets later on. And so I worried so much when Sawyer was in Lauren's belly still, and then after he was born, I was like, why did I worry so much? Oh, whatever. And then when Jameson came, I remember we were approached by about 5 potential expectant moms. And so when we had our profile put out, some people we'd only hear from once, some people more than once. And but when Jameson's birth mom contacted us, I instantly kind of felt this feeling about her. And I can't really describe it other than I just felt very at peace about her. And even before she asked us to parent, I felt very comfortable with her. And then I remember praying about her and her baby just to see, if I feel right about it, because adoption is not for the faint of heart. And you have to go into it knowing that you're going to face so many challenges, but it'll be all right. They're challenges. There's nothing that you can't get over or overcome or push through. And so I remember when I prayed about her and Jameson, this overwhelming feeling of just peace and warmth, and I just knew that everything was going to be okay. So after I had those feelings, I didn't really worry when she was pregnant. I just knew that no matter what happened, things were going to work out and fall into place the way they should. If she decided to parent, it's okay, because that's her choice and that's how it should be. And I just didn't really worry. So then I also remember at that same time thinking, Candace, you need to remember this. You need to remember how good you felt about them, because there may have times where it gets really rough, and you're going to have that peace and that feeling that you had to rely on later on. And so when it got closer to Jameson's due date, and then when he was born, Jameson was a really hard baby. He had some severe colic. I know I've talked about this before. And there were so many times where I would just cry and just felt like he hated me. And I questioned, like, does he love me? He doesn't know me. I felt like as his mom, I should be more in tune with him and I could make him happy, but there's nothing I could do. And there were several times the only thing I had to rely on was that feeling I felt in the beginning. And that feeling of, Candace, you had those thoughts for a reason. You had that confirmation for a reason. So when you had times like this, you could be like, nope, I know that this is right. I know that's right. And that feeling carried me so many times, because it was really hard. Jameson's birth mom grieved differently than Lauren. It was a lot harder for her. to sustain me as mom, and that I struggled with that, and I struggled with bonding with Jameson, and there was so many struggles that that the only way I made it through those was to just rely on that peace and that comfort that I'd had, and that, I mean, and it literally just carried me along the way. So I recognize that feeling, and I know, so I recognize when it feels right and when it doesn't. So then, now back to where I was going with all this. When my friend called and asked us if we wanted to adopt another child, of course I was like, yeah! I was so excited. But then, after pondering it over in my mind and praying about it, it just did not feel right. I don't know, I can't explain it, but I just knew that that baby was never meant for my arms. The baby was never meant to be mine. And I cried and I sobbed for days. And Brett felt the same way. He was very sad, but we just didn't feel like it was meant to be our baby, that little girl. And you guys, I wanted that baby so bad. You have no idea. But I just felt like she was never intended to be mine. And so it was heartbreaking to talk to this expectant mom and just tell her, how honored and flattered I was. I mean, what an honor to have a friend think of you to put, to help their friend out that's wanting to place. That's an extreme honor. But I just had to be honest with her. It wouldn't have been right for me to follow through with something that I didn't feel 100% right about. Because I knew if there were hard times, I would question. And it was the hardest no I've ever had to say in my entire life. And it was difficult. It was, I really questioned for a while if I made the right choice. I wondered if that would be my only opportunity to ever adopt a girl. But I can't even explain it other than it didn't feel right. And so after I did talk to this expectant mom and told her my thoughts and my feelings, she was very respectful of my feelings, and she was glad that I was honest with her about this. And so the good thing, though, was I was able to put her in contact with a couple other adoptive parents, and so she got to talk to them. And so ultimately, though, she did have her baby and she decided to parent. And so I'm really glad I didn't have to experience a failed placement, but it was still extremely hard to have the willpower to say no, even though I wanted it so badly. And for me, it almost like I felt like I could relate to my birth moms just a little bit. Like I can never comprehend the pain that they went through, but all I could think about was how I had to put my own wants aside for this child, because this child was never meant to be ours. And so that was really heartbreaking. So it does happen sometimes where adoptive parents may be approached and it may not feel right. It may not feel right on the birth parent's end or the adoptive parent's end, but that's what you have to have. You have to have that. So a couple months after this happened, we were approached again by my cousin. Actually, it was a girl she worked with, and asked us if we were interested in adopting a little girl. And I was like, well, yeah, sure, And I was already I had just gotten over the first potential adoption, and so when she asked us, it was really exciting, because I thought, this is it, this is why I had to say no the first time, because maybe this is our child. And then, so the friend of hers actually came out to Louisiana, stayed with us a couple days. She asked us while she was here to parent her baby. And then, once again, we had to ponder it over, and we had to think about it. And it was something that I'd already been thinking about, but it's hard to ponder over things when you didn't know all the facts. But when she was here, we got to ask questions. And then, as cute as she was and as awesome as it would have been, she just didn't feel it, and I didn't feel it. Because she'd asked us, and then there was a change like that in her where she just all of a sudden put her guard up. And I felt this like she just was, you know, all of a sudden having second thoughts about wanting to place her child. I really don't know what happened to that girl, but it was hard. It was heartbreaking to be so close and to have to listen to your instinct and have the willpower enough to say no. Because it is an extremely hard no. I mean, for somebody that the only way I can have children is if at the expense of someone else's loss. And so adoption is hard enough as it is, but it's so worth it when it does happen. And I know that I've been very at peace with the choices that we made, that we listened to those thoughts, and that we followed through. And I know we will have our child, and when our child's here, we'll know it. And it was really hard, but it just makes me realize how awesome our child is going to be. I mean, we already have 2 amazing kids, but our next child is going to be so awesome. And I will know it. I will feel it, and I will know it because I know what it feels like. I felt it with Sawyer. I felt it with Jameson. And I'll feel it with the next child. So my advice for adoptive moms, if you don't feel right about it, take that into account. There's a reason you feel that way. If there's red flags, don't push them away. You know, acknowledge them. You know, seek it out. Explore it in your mind. And when it's right, you will feel it and you will know. And there will not be a shadow of a doubt in your mind. And when it's not right, you'll feel it too. But you just have to have the willpower to stay strong enough to listen to that and follow through with it. So, yeah, it was a hard time, but it does happen. So if you do know somebody that is wanting to adopt, don't feel like that we will turn down every single baby, because we won't. We just want our baby. We want the baby that feels right and the birth family that feels right. And they'll feel it for us too. So it just has to be right. It has to feel right. And so it wasn't that those children weren't wanted, because, oh, trust me, we wanted those babies so bad, but they were never ours to have. So anyways, just thought I would share that with you guys. See you later. Bye.